Devastating news for Atiku and obedience as Ono makes stunning revelation on how US law protects Tinubu's academic record privacy. Welcome to the news and thank you for tuning in to listen. Please subscribe to our channel to get notified when we post hot juicy news updates. Please click on the notification bell. Dr. Joseph Ono, a former spokesman for President Bola Tinubu campaign at the Southeast, has explained that the United States Privacy Law, the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, FEPA, safeguards the Nigerian president from being required to disclose his academic records to the 2023 presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar. Atiku had taken legal action to compel the authorities of the Chicago State University, CSU, to provide President Tinubu's academic records, a move that President Tinubu's legal team contested. They agreed only to release Tinubu's diploma certificate, excluding other academic performance details. This objection by Tinubu has sparked controversy in opposition campaigns, with Atiku and his supporters suggesting that Tinubu may be concealing something. Ono stated in a Wednesday statement that the lack of familiarity with the U.S. laws was a major factor behind the disagreement within Nigeria's political class. He expressed little surprise that some Nigerians might be deceived by Atiku and a few others who are currently attempting to play tricks with their mind, similar to how somewhere they led to believe they once had a cloned president. Regarding President Tinubu's academic record, Ono clarified that the president specifically requested that if the court was inclined to grant Atiku's application for discovery, it should be limited to only his diploma certificate he submitted to the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) in aid of his qualification for the 2023 presidential election, which he won. He concluded that any request beyond this would be akin to inviting someone to a dinner party with a specified dress code, purple gowns for ladies and black tuxedos for gentlemen. However, upon arrival, another guest had insisted on seeing the color of a man's wife underwear to confirm if it is purple. This example shows how ridiculous such a request by Atiku is perceived, and anyone, even the husband to the lady that grants such an inspection, would not only be infringing on the wife's right, but also violating her right to privacy, and no reasonable child who calls that woman her mother would tolerate or accept such. Also, release of his record to Atiku might contain personal information that might go against the Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act, FEPA, also commonly known as the Buckley Amendment, which became law in November 1974 in the United States to protect the privacy of personality identifiable information in a student education record. FEPA serves a twofold purpose. One, to grant parents and students 18 or older access to information in the student education record, and two, to protect that information from disclosure to third parties without consent. Unfortunately, most Nigerians are not conversant with this law, so in their gullibility, they're quick to judge and rush to social media to paint a picture of conspiracy as if the president has something to hide. After all, a great percentage of Nigerians who were quick to believe their former president was a clone and dubbed Jibril from Sudan can believe anything and expose the extent of their gullibility, which Atiku and the obedient are leveraging on. The president, like many other students that were educated in the U.S., is only exercising his rights as protected by FAPA, which is different from the Nigerian educational system, Ono said. According to him, FEPA gives one the right to inspect and review one's own education records, to consent to disclosures of personally identifiable information contained in one's education records, to ask to have your education records corrected if you believe them to be inaccurate, misleading, or in violation of their privacy right, and if necessary, to have a hearing on this issue. To file with the U.S. Department of Education the complaints concerning alleged failures by Chicago University to comply with the requirements of FEPA. Part of a no statement reads, and I quote, "In the U.S., the law withholds federal funds from any school with a policy of practice of permitting the release of educational records or of the personally identifiable information contained in those records, unless the adult student or parent has consented or another exception in the law applies." In other words, if a school has a policy of practice of improperly disclosing students' education records or not disclosing information it is required to disclose, it will potentially lose all federal funding. The United States Supreme Court has described educational record as institutional record kept by a single central custodian, such as a registrar. In other words, for FEPA to apply, the record in question must be systematically maintained by the school. For example, psychological evaluations and notes on disciplinary actions are considered education records subject to FEPA. However, even basic directory information can be subject to FERPA if one or more pieces of information are combined, it would allow a reasonable person to identify a child. In a 2017 case, the Louisiana Court of Appeal ruled that general information such as the total number of students enrolled in each grade, ethnic group designation, disability statistics, and how many students qualify for free or reduced lunch could be protected from disclosure under FERPA because that information could be linkable to a specific student with reasonable certainty, even by someone who does not have personal knowledge of the relevant circumstances. Finally, no sane human being, even your mother, is a mental patient and is an embarrassment to you, will still let her privacy be violated because any violation on her is a violation on your person. President Tinubu is our president and we owe allegiance to our country in president hands. No reasonable Nigerian can let Atiku or some select online obedient mischief to violate our decency under the guise of a political desperation. Dead yeah. Now English they speak. See, more than 50%, more than 60, more than 70 to even 80% go want to make that result come outside. All this way they do, now play now you day. We can just say, Ọlọ́run ló yọ Tinubu. Yes, I am telling you, this particular issue that they have been asking for months and you have refused to speak on this matter. Did I even say months? It is going to years for crying out loud. You have refused to come outside and say anything on this matter. Now they talk say, now they can't say Nigerians should do what? Which English you even speak last? Nigerian. Okay, and we owe allegiance to our country and the president that hence no reasonable Nigeria can let Atiku or some select online obedience to violate our decency. Who is our? It is Tinubu decency, not our. Let us get something straight here. It is the Nigerian money speaking, not you. In recent time, because of politics of interest of one man, few group of individual tribes and religion, those who claim to be stakeholders in Nigeria, are gradually replacing integrity with if you cannot win them, join them. With the tricks, lies, deceitfulness, dishonesty, and destroying the good values of our nation lead to a better Nigeria? If it will not, why should the leaders choose to be derailed from the generally acceptable standard to one man's? My dear, say this question. If you continue to ask me, now who I go ask? Now who? Alright, on this note, you have come to the end of the news. We say thank you for telling me to listen. Until I come your way next time, enjoy.